William pressed his face against the cold kitchen window and watched the morning rain fall on their small garden. The droplets moved slowly down the glass like tears on a sad face. Behind him he could hear Kate moving around the kitchen, but she was so quiet it almost felt like she was not there at all. This was not how their mornings used to be. Just 6 months ago, Kate would be humming while making breakfast and telling him about her dreams from the night before. Now she barely spoke to him at all. He turned around and looked at his wife sitting at their wooden kitchen table. Kate held a white coffee mug in both hands, like she was trying to warm herself up. Her brown hair was pulled back in a messy way, and she had dark circles under her eyes. William knew she had been crying again last night because he heard her through the bathroom door. When he asked her what was wrong, she always said the same thing. "Nothing is wrong, William. I am just tired." But William knew Kate better than anyone. In the world, they had been married for 15 years and had 2 beautiful children together. He could tell when she was happy or sad or worried about something. Right now, Kate looked like she was carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders. Her hands shook a little as she lifted the coffee mug to her lips. She used to have such steady hands when she worked in her garden or helped their son with his homework. The silence in their kitchen felt heavy and uncomfortable. William wanted to say something to make Kate feel better, but every time he tried to talk to her lately, she would find a reason to leave the room. Yesterday, he asked her if she wanted to go for a walk like they used to do every Sunday morning. Kate said she had too much laundry to do. When he offered to help with the laundry, she said she would rather do it alone. William sat down at the table across from Kate and watched her stare out the window. She was looking at something, but he could not tell what it was. Maybe she was not looking at anything at all. Maybe she was just trying to avoid looking at him. This thought made his chest feel tight and painful. Kate had always been able to look him in the eyes even when they were having their worst fights. Now she seemed to look everywhere except at his face. Their 2 children, Emily and James, were still sleeping upstairs. Emily was 12 years old, and James was 9. William was grateful that the kids were not awake yet because he did not want them to see their mother like this. Kate had always been such a strong and happy mother. She would make pancakes on Saturday mornings and read bedtime stories with funny voices. She would bandage scraped knees and give the best hugs. And the children had bad dreams. But in the past few weeks, Kate had become different around the children too. She still took care of them and made sure they had everything they needed, but the joy was gone from her eyes. Emily had asked William last week why Mom seemed so sad all the time. William did not know what to tell his daughter because Kate would not tell him what was wrong. William reached across the table and gently touched Kate's hand. Her skin felt cold, and she pulled her hand away quickly like his touch had burned her. This made William feel like someone had punched him in the stomach. Kate had never pulled away from him like that before, even when they were angry with each other. She never refused his touch completely. "I am sorry, William," Kate said in a voice so quiet he could barely hear her. "I did not mean to do that. I am just not feeling well today." William knew she was lying. Kate had been saying she was not feeling well for 3 weeks now. He had asked her to go see a doctor, but she said she was fine and just needed some rest. But no amount of rest seemed to help. If anything, Kate seemed to be getting worse instead of better. "Are you sure you do not want to talk about whatever is bothering you?" William asked. He tried to keep his voice gentle and patient, even though he was starting to feel scared about what was happening to his wife. "Kate, you know you can tell me anything. We have always been able to talk to each other about everything." Kate looked at him for just a moment, and William saw something in her eyes that made his heart break. She looked afraid and ashamed, and so very tired. But before he could say anything else, Kate stood up from the table and walked toward the kitchen sink. She poured her coffee down the drain, even though she had barely touched it. "I need to go get some things from the store," Kate said without turning around to look at him. "The children will be awake soon, and we need milk and bread for breakfast." William knew they had plenty of milk and bread in the refrigerator. Kate was making excuses to leave the house again. She had been doing this more and more lately. She would say she needed to run errands or visit her sister or go to the library. But when William called her sister yesterday, she said she had not seen Kate in over a month. "Where are you really going, Kate?" William asked. His voice came out sharper than he meant it to. Kate turned around and looked at him with such pain, and her eyes that William immediately felt sorry for questioning her. "I am going to the store," Kate said again. Her voice was steady, but William could see her hands were shaking. "I will be back before the children wake up." William watched his wife walk out of the kitchen and heard the front door close a few minutes later. He sat alone at their kitchen table and tried to understand what was happening to their life together. Kate was hiding something from him, and it was eating away at both of them. William had always believed that marriage meant facing problems together, but Kate seemed determined to face whatever this was alone. The house felt empty and cold without Kate in it. William could hear the rain getting heavier outside, and he worried about Kate driving in the bad weather. She had been so distracted lately that he was afraid she might have an accident. He thought about following her to see where she really went, but he knew that would only make things worse between them. William looked at the clock on the kitchen wall and realized that Kate had been gone for over an hour. The store was only 10 minutes away from their house. His fear started to grow in his chest as he wondered where his wife really was and why she felt like she could not tell him the truth. Kate sat in her car outside the grocery store parking lot with tears streaming down her face. She had not actually gone inside to buy anything. Instead, she had been driving around their neighborhood for the past hour trying to work up the courage to go home and face William. The rain was still coming down hard, and she could barely see through the windshield. Her hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly that her knuckles had turned white. She knew William was worried about her. She could see it in his eyes every morning when he looked at her across the breakfast table. The man she loved more than anything in the world was watching her fall apart, and there was nothing he could do to help her. That was the worst part. Of all, Kate had always been able to share everything with William, but this time was different. This time she had done something so terrible that she was afraid he would never forgive her. Kate reached in too, her purse, and pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. It was a letter that had arrived in their mailbox 3 days ago. The envelope had her name written on it in handwriting she recognized, but hoped she would never see again. Inside the envelope was a single page with just a few lines written on it, but those few lines had turned Kate's world upside down. The letter was from David Martinez, her brother, who lived 2 states away. David had always been the one in their family who could not manage money properly. He had borrowed money from Kate and William many times over the years and had always paid it back eventually. But 6 months ago, David had called Kate crying and begging for help. He said he was going to lose his house and his children would have to change schools. He said he just needed $15,000 and he would pay it back in 3 months. Kate had wanted to talk to William about it, but David had begged her not to tell anyone. He said he was too ashamed to have William know how badly he had messed up his finances again. Kate felt sorry for her brother and his family. She thought about her niece and nephew having to move away from their friends and school. So she made a decision that she now regretted every single day. Kate had taken the money from their savings account without telling William. She told herself it was only temporary, and that David would pay it back before William even noticed the money was gone. She had access to their joint account, and she transferred the money to David's account on a Friday afternoon. Kate planned to tell William about it as soon as David paid the money back, but 3 months passed, and David had not paid back a single dollar. When Kate called him, he always had an excuse. His car had broken down and he needed money for repairs. His wife had gotten sick and they had medical bills. His hours at work had been cut, and he was barely making enough to pay for food and utilities. Every month, David promised he would start paying the money back next month, but next month never. Kate had tried to replace the money herself without telling William. She had gotten a part-time job at a local flower shop and had been putting every penny she earned back into their savings account. $15,000 was a lot of money, and her part-time job only paid minimum wage. After 3 months of working, she had only been able to save $2,000. The letter in Kate's hand was David telling her that he was filing for bankruptcy. He said he was sorry, but he would not be able to pay back the money he owed her. David said he hoped she would understand and that he still loved her. Kate had read the letter so many times that she knew every word by heart. Each time she read it, she felt more sick to her stomach. Kate knew she had to tell William the truth, but she was terrified of what would happen. William worked so hard to provide for their family. He got up early every morning and came home tired every evening. He trusted Kate completely with their finances and their future. The $15,000 they had saved was supposed to be for Emily's college fund. They had been putting money aside for years so their daughter could go to any college she wanted without having to worry about student loans. Now that money was gone, and Kate did not know how to get it back. She had betrayed William's trust and stolen from their daughter's future. Kate felt like the worst wife and mother in the world. She had been lying to William for months and watching him worry about her strange behavior. She knew he suspected something was wrong, but she was too much of a coward to tell him what she had done. Kate looked at her phone and saw that she had been gone from home for almost 2 hours. William would be wondering where she was. Their children would be awake by now and asking for breakfast. Kate tried to wipe the tears from her face, but they just kept coming. She felt like she was drowning in her own guilt and shame. She started the car and drove slowly toward home. Kate practiced what she would say to William. Maybe she could tell him about David's bankruptcy without mentioning the money. Maybe she could say she was upset about her brother's financial problems without admitting what she had done. But Kate knew in her heart that she was just trying to find more ways to lie to her husband. When Kate pulled into their driveway, she saw William standing at the living room window watching for her. He had that worried expression on his face that she had seen so much lately. Kate sat in the car for a few more minutes trying to gather her courage. She knew she looked terrible with her red eyes and messy hair. William would know she had been crying, and he would ask her what was wrong. Kate finally got out of the car and walked slowly toward the front door. Her legs felt weak, and her heart was beating so fast she thought it might explode in her chest. She could not keep lying to William, but she also could not bear the thought of telling him the truth. Kate stood on their front porch with her hand on the door handle, trying to decide what to do. She could hear voices inside the house. William was talking to Emily and James about something. They sounded happy and normal, like families were supposed to sound. Kate was afraid that once she told William what she had done, their family would never sound happy and normal again. She was afraid that William would never trust her again and that their marriage would be ruined forever. Kate took a deep breath and opened the front door. She had to face whatever was going to happen next. William heard the front door open and close, but Kate did not call out hello like she usually did. He was sitting at the kitchen table with Emily and James, helping them eat their cereal. The children had woken up asking where their mother was, and William had to make up a story about Kate going to the store early. He could hear Kate's footsteps in the hallway, but she was walking very slowly, like each step was difficult for her. Emily looked up from her bowl of cereal and asked where Mom went. William told her that Mom had gone to buy some things they needed for the house. James wanted to know why Mom left so early and why she did not say goodbye. William did not know how to answer his son's questions because he did not understand Kate's behavior either. Kate finally appeared in the kitchen doorway, and William felt his heart drop when he saw her face. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying, and her hair was messy, like she had been running her hands through it. She looked like she had not slept in days. Kate tried to smile at the children, but William could see how much effort it took for her to pretend everything was okay. "Good morning, sweetheart," Emily said to her mother. "Did you find everything you needed at the store?" Kate looked confused for a moment, like she had forgotten what lie she had told about going shopping. She did not have any bags with her, and William knew the children would notice. Kate cleared her throat and said she had forgotten her wallet and had to come home without buying anything. William knew this was another lie, because Kate always checked for her wallet before leaving the house. James finished his cereal and asked his mother if she could help him find his soccer cleats. Kate said she would help him in a few minutes. William watched Kate move around the kitchen like she was in a dream. She opened the refrigerator and stared inside for a long time without taking anything out. Then she closed it and opened the same cabinet 3 times without taking anything from it either. William sent the children upstairs to get dressed for school. Emily hugged Kate before leaving the kitchen, and William saw Kate close her eyes tight like she was trying not to cry. After the children left, William stood up and walked over to his wife. He put his hands on her shoulders and felt how tense her muscles were. "Kate, what is going on?" William asked in a gentle voice. "You have been acting strange for weeks, and I am really worried about you. Please tell me what is wrong so I can help." Kate looked up at him, and for a moment William thought she was going to tell him everything. Her mouth opened like she was about to speak, but then she closed it again and shook her head. She pulled away from William and walked over to the sink. Kate turned on the water and started washing dishes that were already clean. "Nothing is wrong," Kate said, but her voice was shaking. "I told you I am just tired. Maybe I'm getting sick or something. I'll be fine in a few days." William knew Kate was lying, but he did not know how to make her tell him the truth. He had never seen his wife like this before. Kate had always been honest with him about everything. Even when she was upset or angry, she would tell him what was bothering her. Now it felt like she was hiding something big from him, and it was tearing their family apart. "You were gone for over 2 hours, William," said. "The store is only 10 minutes away." "Where did you really go, Kate?" Kate dropped the dish she was washing, and it fell into the sink with a loud crash. The plate did not break, but the sound made them both jump. Kate put her hands on the edge of the sink and leaned forward like she was about to be sick. William could see her shoulders shaking, and he knew she was crying again. William moved closer to Kate and put his arm around her waist. This time she did not pull away from him, but she also did not lean into him like she used to do. Kate felt stiff and uncomfortable in his arms. William wanted to hold her and tell her that everything would be okay, but he did not know what everything was. "Kate, I love you more than anything in the world," William said. "We have been married for 15 years, and we have always been a team. Whatever is happening, we can face it together. But you have to trust me enough to tell me what is wrong." Kate turned around in his arms, looked up at him with tears streaming down her face. William had never seen her look so broken and scared. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. Kate reached up and touched William's face with her hand like she was trying to memorize what he looked like. "I am so sorry, William," Kate whispered. "I am so sorry for everything." "Sorry for what?" William asked. "Kate, what are you sorry for?" But Kate was already pulling away from him and walking toward the stairs. She said she needed to help James find his soccer cleats. William watched his wife walk away from him again and felt more helpless than he had ever felt in his life. He wanted to follow her upstairs and demand that she tell him what was wrong, but he was afraid that if he pushed too hard, Kate would shut down completely. William sat back down at the kitchen table and put his head in his hands. He tried to think about what could be making Kate so upset. Maybe someone in her family was sick and she did not want to worry him. Maybe Kate was sick herself and was afraid to tell him. William thought about all the possibilities, but none of them felt right. The house felt different now that Kate was keeping secrets from him. William had always felt safe and happy in their home, but now everything felt uncertain. He did not know if Kate still loved him or if she was planning to leave him. He did not know if their marriage was in trouble or if Kate was just going through a difficult time. William heard Kate upstairs helping James get ready for school. Her voice sounded normal when she talked to their son, but William knew she was just pretending. He wondered how long Kate could keep pretending before something inside her broke completely. William was afraid that when that happened, he would lose his wife forever. The clock on the kitchen wall showed that it was almost time to take the children to school. William knew he had to act normal for Emily and James, even though his world felt like it was falling apart. He went upstairs to help get the children ready and found Kate sitting on James's bed holding his soccer cleats. She was staring at them like she had never seen them before. William sat down next to Kate and gently took the cleats from her hands. He helped James put them on while Kate watched silently. Emily came into the room asking if her mother could braid her hair like she did every morning. Kate nodded and began braiding Emily's hair, but William could see her hands shaking the entire time. When it was time to leave for school, Kate said she was not feeling well enough to come with them. William took both children to school by himself and spent the entire drive wondering what he would find when he got home. William drove home from the school with his hands gripping the steering wheel tight. Emily had asked him 3 times during the drive why her mother seemed so sad lately. James had wanted to know if his parents were getting divorced like his friend Tommy's parents did last year. William had tried to reassure both children that everything was fine, but he was not sure he believed his own words anymore. When William pulled into their driveway, he noticed that Kate's car was not there. She had left again while he was taking the children to school. William felt a wave of anger wash over him. was tired of Kate disappearing every time he tried to talk to her. He was tired of the lies and the secrets and the way she looked at him like she was afraid of him. William went inside the house and called Kate's name, but there was no answer. The house felt empty and cold without her in it. William walked through each room looking for some clue about where Kate might have gone. In their bedroom, he found Kate's jewelry box open and several pieces of jewelry scattered on the dresser. It looked like she had been searching for something specific. William picked up Kate's wedding ring from the dresser and felt his heart stop. Kate never took off her wedding ring. She had worn it every single day for 15 years. William held the ring in his palm and wondered why Kate had taken it off. Was she planning to leave him? Was she having an affair with someone else? The thought made William feel sick to his stomach. He sat down on their bed and looked around the room that he and Kate had shared for so many years. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt the same. The pictures on the dresser showed a happy family, but William wondered if that happiness had been real or if Kate had been pretending for years. Maybe their entire marriage had been a lie. William's phone rang, and he hoped it was Kate calling to explain where she had gone, but the caller ID showed it was his mother calling. William did not want to talk to anyone right now, but he knew his mother would keep calling until he answered. He picked up the phone and tried to sound normal. "Hi, Mom," William said. "But I am calling because I am worried about Kate. I saw her at the cemetery this morning and she looked terrible. She was crying and seemed very upset about something." William felt confused. They only went there once a year on the anniversary of Kate's father's death, and that was not for another 3 months. William asked his mother what time she had seen Kate at the cemetery. "It was about an hour ago," his mother said. "I tried to talk to her, but she said she needed to be alone." "William, is everything okay with Kate?" She did not look like herself at all. William told his mother that Kate had been under a lot of stress lately, but that everything was fine. After he hung up the phone, William sat on the bed trying to understand why Kate would go to her father's grave. Kate's father had died 5 years ago from a heart attack. Kate had been very close to her father and had been devastated when he died. William remembered how Kate had blamed herself for her father's death. She had been planning to visit him the weekend he died, but had canceled the trip because James had been sick with the flu. Kate's father had the heart attack that Saturday morning and died before anyone could get to the hospital. Wondered if things would have been different if she had been there with him. William decided to drive to the cemetery to find Kate. He needed to know what was going on with his wife and why she was keeping so many secrets from him. The cemetery was about 20 minutes away from their house. He drove slowly through the winding roads looking for Kate's car. He found it parked near the section where Kate's father was buried. William parked next to Kate's car and walked toward the gravesite. We could see Kate sitting on the ground next to her father's headstone. Her shoulders were shaken and William could hear her crying even from a distance. William walked quietly toward Kate and sat down on the ground next to her. Kate looked up at him with surprise and fear in her eyes. She looked like she wanted to run away, but she had nowhere to go. William did not say anything at first. He just sat next to his wife and waited for her to tell him what was wrong. "I miss him so much," Kate said in a voice barely above a whisper. "I miss talking to him when I had problems. Dad always knew what to do when I made mistakes. He would have known how to fix this mess I have made." William reached over and took Kate's hand in his. Her skin felt cold and her hand was trembling. William asked Kate what mess she was talking about. Kate looked at him with tears streaming down her face, and William knew she was finally ready to tell him the truth. "I did something terrible, William," Kate said. "I did something that I can never take back. I have been lying to you for months, and I do not know how to make it right." William felt his heart start beating faster. He had been waiting for this moment for weeks, but now that it was here, he was afraid to hear what Kate had to say. Squeezed Kate's hand and told her that whatever she had done, they could work through it together. Kate shook her head and said she was not sure William would be able to forgive her. She said she had betrayed his trust in the worst possible way. William told Kate that he loved her more than anything and that nothing she could say would change that. But even as he said the words, William wondered if that was really true. Kate took a deep breath and looked at her father's headstone like she was asking for his help. Then she turned to William and began to tell him about the money she had taken from their savings account. She told him about how she had transferred the money without telling William because she thought David would pay it back quickly. William felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. $15,000 was a lot of money for their family. It was money they had saved for Emily's college fund. It was money they had worked hard for years to put aside. William tried to process what Kate was telling him, but he felt numb and confused. Kate continued talking through her tears. She told William about David's bankruptcy and how he could not pay back the money. She told him about the part-time job she had gotten and how she had been trying to replace the money herself. She told him about the guilt and shame she had been carrying for months. When Kate finished talking, they sat in silence next to her father's grave. William did not know what to say or how to feel. He was angry that Kate had lied to him, but he was also sad that she had been carrying this burden alone. He was worried about their finances, but he was also relieved to finally know the truth. Kate looked at William and asked if he could ever forgive her. William looked at his wife sitting next to him crying and felt his anger start to fade. Kate had made a terrible mistake, but she had made it because she loved her brother and wanted to help his family. William sat in the cemetery next to Kate, staring at her father's headstone while trying to process everything his wife had just told him. $15,000 was gone. Their daughter's college fund was empty. Kate had been lying to him for months while he watched her fall apart and wondered what was wrong. William felt like his whole world had been turned upside down in just a few minutes. Kate was still crying next to him and waiting for William to say something, but William did not know what words to use. He felt angry and hurt and confused all at the same time. Part of him wanted to yell at Kate for betraying his trust. Another part of him wanted to hold her and tell her everything would be okay. But William was not sure if everything would be okay. The silence between them stretched on for what felt like hours. Kate kept looking at William's face, trying to read his expression.
Oh.
William could see the fear in her eyes. He would leave her, or that he would never forgive her for what she had done. William understood why Kate was scared, because he was not sure what he was feeling either. Finally, William spoke in a voice that sounded strange and far away. "Why didn't you tell me about David's phone call, Kate? We have always made financial decisions together. We have always talked about everything." Kate wiped tears from her face with the back of her hand. She said that David had begged her not to tell anyone about his problems. David was ashamed that he had messed up his finances again and did not want William to know how bad things had gotten. Kate said she felt sorry for her brother and his children and just wanted to help them. "But it wasn't your money to give away," William said. His voice was getting louder, and he could hear the anger creeping in. "That money belonged to both of us, Kate. We saved that money for Emily's future. We worked extra hours and gave up things we wanted so we could put money aside for our daughter." Kate nodded and said she knew she had made a terrible mistake. She said she had planned to tell William about the loan as soon as David paid the money back. Kate had thought it would only be for a few months and that William would never have to know. She said she never imagined that David would declare bankruptcy and leave them with nothing. William stood up from the ground and walked a few steps away from Kate. He needed space to think, and he felt like he could not breathe sitting so close to her. William had always trusted Kate completely with their money and their future. Now he found out that trust had been broken months ago. "How much of our savings is left?" William asked, without turning around to look at. Kate's voice was so quiet that William could barely hear her answer. She said there was about $3,000 left in their savings account. The rest was gone, and there was no way to get it back. Kate said she had been putting every penny from her part-time job back into the account, but it was taking too long to make a real difference. William felt like someone had kicked him in the chest. Their savings account had taken them years to build up. It started saving money when Emily was born because they wanted to make sure their children could go to college without worrying about student loans. Now that dream was gone, and there was nothing William could do to fix it. "You got a part-time job," William said. "When did you get a part-time job?" Kate said she'd been working at the flower shop downtown for 3 months. She worked there every morning after William left for his job and before the children got home from school. Kate said she had told William she was running errands or visiting friends when she was really working. She said everything that came out of her mouth had been a lie for months. William turned around and looked at his wife sitting on the ground next to her father's grave. Kate looked so small and broken that William almost felt sorry for her. But then he remembered that Kate had chosen to lie to him every single day for months. She had watched him worry about her strange behavior and had said nothing. She had let him think he was losing his mind or that their marriage was falling apart. "I don't know how to trust you anymore, Kate," William said.
Dad.
His voice was quiet, but Kate could hear how much pain he was in. "You looked me in the eye every morning for months and lied to me. You let me think I was going crazy when you were acting strange. You made me believe that something was wrong with our marriage, when really you were just hiding what you had done." Kate started crying harder and reached out toward William like she wanted him to come back and sit next to her. But William did not move. He was afraid that if he got too close to Kate, he would say something he would regret later. William needed time to think about what this meant for their marriage and their family. "What are we going to tell the children?" William asked. "Emily is starting to think about colleges, and now we have no money to help her. James asks me every day why you seem so sad, and I have been lying to him too, because I didn't know the truth." Kate said she had been thinking about that question every day for months. She said maybe they could get a loan or find another way to pay for Emily's education. Kate said she would work as many jobs as it took to earn back the money she had lost. She said she would do anything to make this right. William shook his head and said it was not that simple. Even if Kate worked 3 jobs, it would take years to save $15,000 again. Emily would be ready for college in 6 years, and they would need even more money by then because college costs kept going up every year. William looked at his watch and realized they had been at the cemetery for over an hour. The children would be getting out of school soon, and someone needed to pick them up. William told Kate that they should go home and continue this conversation later. He said he needed time to think about everything she had told him. Kate stood up slowly and brushed dirt off her clothes. She asked William if he was going to leave her. She asked if their marriage was over because of what she had done. William looked at Kate and saw the woman he had fallen in love with 15 years ago. But he also saw someone who had betrayed his trust in the worst possible way. "I don't know, Kate," William said honestly. "I need time to figure out how I feel about all of this. Right now, I am too angry and hurt to make any decisions about our future." William walked back toward their cars, and Kate followed behind him. They drove home separately, and William spent the entire drive thinking about what Kate had told him. He loved his wife, but he did not know if love was enough to fix what had been broken between them. William knew that their marriage would never be the same again. 3 days passed after Kate told William the truth at the cemetery, and their house felt like a war zone. William had been sleeping in the guest bedroom and barely spoke to Kate except when the children were around. Kate moved through the house, like a ghost trying to take care of Emily and James while William worked longer hours to avoid coming home. Both children could feel the tension between their parents and kept asking what was wrong. On Thursday evening, William came home from work to find Kate sitting at the kitchen table with papers spread out in front of her. She had been crying again, and her hands were shaking as she tried to organize the documents. William could see bank statements and bills and what looked like job applications scattered across the table. Kate looked up at him when he walked into the room, and William saw something different in her eyes. "I have been thinking about what you said," Kate told him. Her voice was stronger than it had been in weeks. "You were right when you said I betrayed your trust. I did something terrible, and I have been making it worse by lying to you every day. I want to try to fix this if you will let me." William sat down across from Kate at the table and looked at the papers she had been working on. He could see that Kate had written down every expense their family had and every penny they owed to anyone. She had calculated how much money they would need to replace what she had given to David. Kate had also printed out applications for 3 different full-time jobs. Kate pointed to a piece of paper with numbers written all over it. She said she had figured out that if she worked 2 jobs and they were very careful with their spending, they could save the $15,000 back in 4 years. Kate said it would mean giving up vacations and eating out and buying new clothes, but it was possible. William looked at the numbers Kate had written and felt some of his anger start to fade. Kate had spent 3 days working on a plan to fix what she had broken. She was not just sitting around feeling sorry for herself. Kate was trying to find a way to make things right, even though it would mean working herself to death for the next. For years, I also called David, Kate said quietly. I told him that he had to find a way to pay back at least some of the money, even if he was going through bankruptcy. I told him that his problems had become our problems, and that was not fair. To our children, William was surprised to hear that Kate had confronted her brother. Kate had always protected David and made excuses for his poor decisions. William asked what David had said when Kate called him. Kate said that David had cried on the phone and apologized over and over. David said he had not realized how much trouble he had caused for Kate and William. He promised to talk to his bankruptcy lawyer about setting up a payment plan to pay back some of the money over time. David said it might take him 10 years, but he would find a way to give them something. William picked up one of the job applications Kate had filled out. It was for a position at a grocery store that paid more than her current job at the flower shop. The application asked for references, and Kate had listed people William had never heard of. William realized that Kate had been building a whole secret life while she worked at the flower shop, Kate saw. William looking at the application and said she had already interviewed for 2 of the jobs. She said the manager at the grocery store wanted to hire her full-time, and she could start next week. Kate said she would keep working at the flower shop in the evenings and on weekends. She would work 7 days a week until they had their savings back. William felt overwhelmed looking at Kate's plan. She was willing to destroy her health and give up all her free time to fix the mistakes she had made. William could see how much Kate regretted what she had done and how desperate she was to make things right. But William was not sure if working herself to death was the answer. "What about the children?" William asked. "If you are working all the time, who is going to take care of Emily and James? Who is going to help them with homework and drive them to soccer practice and be here when they need their mother?" Kate's face crumpled, and she started crying again. She said she had thought about that too, and it was the part of her plan that scared her the most. Kate said she was afraid that by trying to fix one mistake, she would end up making many more. She was afraid that their children would grow up thinking their mother cared more about work than about them. William reached across the table and took Kate's hand for the first time since she had told him the truth. Her skin was cold, and he could feel how much weight she had lost over the past few months. Kate looked up at him with hope in her eyes, like she thought maybe he was ready to forgive her. "We are going to figure this out together," William said. The voice was gentle, but William could hear his own exhaustion. "I am still angry, Kate, and I am still hurt that you lied to me for so many months. But I love you, and I love our family. We are not going to let this destroy us." Kate squeezed William's hand and started crying harder. She said she had been so afraid that William would leave her and take the children. Kate said she had been imagining coming home to an empty house and having to explain to Emily and James why their father was gone. William told Kate that he had thought about leaving. He said there were moments over the past 3 days when he wanted to pack his bags and disappear. William said he felt like he did not know who Kate really was anymore. But then he would look at their children and remember all the good years they had together before this happened. "I made a terrible mistake," William, Kate said. "I know that what I did was wrong, and I know that it will take a long time for you too. Trust me again, but I want to fight for our marriage. I want to show you that I am still the woman you fell in love with." William looked at his wife sitting across from him and saw the Kate he remembered from before David's phone call had turned their world upside down. She looked tired and scared, but she also looked determined. William realized that Kate was not just sorry about losing the money, she was sorry about lying and about shutting him out, and they should have faced the problem together. William picked up Kate's plan and studied the numbers again. He said they would work together to figure out the best way to replace their savings. William said Kate did not have to carry this burden alone anymore. They would tell the children age-appropriate parts of the truth and work as a family to solve the problem. Kate asked William if he could ever forgive her completely. William said forgiveness would take time and that rebuilding trust would be even harder. But William said he was willing to try if Kate promised never to lie to him again. Kate promised, and William believed her. That night, William moved back into their bedroom and held Kate while she cried. They talked until sunrise about their fears and their hopes for the future. William realized that even though Kate had broken his trust, she had also taught him something important. Marriage was not just about the good times when everything was easy. Marriage was about choosing to love someone even when they made terrible mistakes. William chose love.